5 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm Adrian Crofton. I'm a general practitioner in Torry. Could I start by just asking any councillors who haven't had time to read my written objection to if they could maybe spare a few moments to do so, because the details are incredibly important about really understanding the true impact on local residents, and also why there's no possibility of any adequate mitigation for this proposal. So the health impact assessment for the applicant should have been at the very highest standard according to the national and international guidance, given the size and likely impacts of the project. That should have included extensive dialogue with the most impacted communities like Balnagasc from the very beginning of the project to elicit in detail the lived experience and responses of the local population to the various options on offer. That would have included the collection of primary data as well as the use of existing data. The report's author would have been very aware of these standards, and I can only assume that the developers chose not to undertake this work because they feared the findings would not be favourable to them. Whatever their reasons, it means that from the very start, councillors cannot rely on this health impact assessment as a useful document for their decision making. There are other reasons that it cannot be relied upon. It understates the health impacts of the most likely form of development, namely the chain-making factory, and also understates the existing health inequalities in the area. These differences in health outcomes were very considerable at the time that we as a group of city clinicians, including that as the president of the Royal College of Paediatrics, wrote an open letter that was covered in the national and local press that outlined these differences in mortality and health outcomes, and the importance of green space for tackling those. Sadly, national data indicates that those differences have only got worse, and if I could just briefly mention those, if you're not aware, we're talking of 13 years of life expectancy difference between the area of Balnagasc and the west of the city, and 25 years of healthy life expectancy. So my own profession has a code of ethics that states, first, do no harm. Occasionally we do deliberately do harm in order to achieve a specific health goal, for instance, cutting someone open to fix a broken bone. But we would also always do that with a person's full informed consent. And that includes sharing the detailed and reliable data on the likelihood of harms and benefits. Now, we know there is good evidence on the benefits of a park like this, and we know there's evidence of the harms that will be incurred by degrading that resource. What we do not have is reliable evidence for the benefits proposed for this project. On the contrary, you might want to know, in parallel to asking what is a surgeon's track record, how likely is it that this type of direct inward investment, the build and they will come variety, what is the likelihood that that will bring an overall benefit for the wider community? I think a critical look at the track record for that kind of development in this area should make you really scrutinise the grandiose claims for the ETZ project. One thing I would hate to see for the extension of the South Harbour and for the city as a whole is the city falling for something called the sunk cost fallacy, where we feel that a project which is not making money will make money if we just invest more public money in it. So whether you're looking at the health of the local population or the finances of the region, I would humbly ask you, as councillors, to first do no harm. And just lastly, I would just like you to imagine asking your constituents, I don't know which areas you represent, whether it be Rosemount, Ferry Hill, Hazelhead, what do you think your constituents would say if you proposed turning over half of Westburn Park, Victoria Park, Hazelhead, Duthie Park to heavy industry? I think we all know the response to that, the answer to that question. My question then is, why is it okay to do that yet again in Torry? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr Crofton. Are there any questions for Dr Crofton? No questions. Thank you very much for your presentation.